Pro Wrestling Weekly. For over 20 years, the revolutionary force in sports entertainment radio talk.
Is cooking.
WBCB presents Pro Wrestling Weekly,
the longest-running pro wrestling radio talk show in the history of terrestrial radio.
And he's obviously Michael Cole.
Call in with a question or comment at 215-949-3232 or 888-922-2149.
You really do sound like
a grizzled old vet. Is that what you were going with there?
Yes.
To not get you in trouble?
Oh, I'll get in trouble at some point. Believe me, I'll do something.
Well, to keep you out of trouble in this case, at least.
And now, here are your hosts of Pro Wrestling Weekly, Fearon Derry and Lucas DeSangro.
Ooh, I'm getting good at this radio thing.
Yeah! It only took you 5.5 years.
I'm not good at it yet. I'm starting.
Yeah.
Only slightly.
Slowest escalator upward.
Shut up!
There's the sound of the bell, and we are set to go. This is Pro Wrestling Weekly here on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com. Fearon Derry here with you, flying solo this week as Mitch has some occupational obligations and Twitch is all the way down in Tennessee. That's right, he's doing some stuff for Capital Wrestling this weekend, so he is most decidedly not here, and I asked if he would potentially phone into the program, and he said, in the words of Gorilla Monsoon, highly unlikely. So he did, however, give his predictions certain to go wrong for SummerSlam, as it feels weird. Am I the only one who feels just a little off that SummerSlam is this early in August? I know it's not unprecedented. I mean, I believe it was August 3rd. Yeah, last week I think it was the earliest SummerSlam back on the 3rd of August of 97. But I don't know. I guess maybe it's the traditionalist in me coming out, not necessarily the back in my day, but something of, I guess, familiarity, where usually that maybe the last Sunday in August, sometimes maybe the Sunday before the last, that's usually that flag that, all right, that's the kind of semi-unofficial end of summer as opposed to the unofficial end of summer, which is Labor Day, as opposed to the actual end of summer, which is September 23rd, I think, if you go by the equinoxes and solstices and all those types of things. But yeah, it feels a little weird that it's this early, but nonetheless, later in the program, I have predictions certain to go wrong, as does Twitch, and Mitch, well, he had to quickly record the coming up later today in wrestling history spot, and he will text those to me at some point prior to the beginning of SummerSlam tomorrow. So we've got a lot of other things to get into here this week, including a bit of news that have come over the course of the last 24 hours, including a well-known wrestling school over the past decade and a half that'll be closing its doors. Also, a little bit more on the next WWE Saudi Arabia show. Also, a little bit more about WWE's ratings and somebody who isn't concerned. We'll get into that. We've also got some AEW talk, as there's a couple of more TV dates that are announced, as their TV show is just a couple of months away from debuting. And, well, because it's a weekly show, they've got to figure out the week after their debut and the week after that, and they've got those coming your way. And also, at least some talk, which hasn't potentially been finalized, but there have been some reports of some possible Wednesday night competition for AEW. We'll get into that, and also, I feel bad in some ways for laughing at it, as we've talked about before, how a championship should have some prestige and shouldn't be diminished to comedy. But that being said, there was another very funny spot with the 24/7 championship. For those who have missed that, we'll go over that. And also we'll get a little video game chat into the mix thanks to the latest WWE video game. All that and a whole bunch more here in the hour. First, well, a well-known wrestling school, as we said, over the past decade and a half will be closing its doors, that being The Storm Wrestling Academy. Lance Storm announcing yesterday afternoon that he will be closing his Storm Wrestling Academy school, which has produced wrestlers including Tyler Breeze, Rachel Evers, Chelsea Green, Brian Pillman Jr., Tennille Dashwood, among many others. Now, Storm had run the academy up in Calgary, dramatic pause, Alberta, Canada, for 14 years, and he had this to say on Twitter, quote, "It is with mixed emotions that I announce that the upcoming September 29 training session at SWA will be my last, and we will be closing our doors at the end of 2019. I have spent the last 15 years of my life focused on being a teacher and trainer, and have found that time very rewarding. I suspect I have learned as much, if not more, than my students during this time, and it has allowed me to be home to help raise my kids. When I launched SWA in the summer of 2005, I had no idea what was in store, and I can honestly say it exceeded all of my expectations. I've had students travel from all over the world to train with me, approximately 30 countries, and now have SWA grads wrestling virtually everywhere. There is a global extended SWA family out there that I know will continue to make a positive impact on this industry. Those who have signed up for 2020 sessions have already been notified, and I trust will find another avenue to reach their goals. I would like to thank everyone who has attended SWA. I have formed many friendships that will no doubt last the rest of my life. I hope you all enjoyed your time with me and have grown both as a wrestler and a person. I will announce my plans for the future at a later date, but rest assured, Lance Storm is not done with the wrestling industry. It is just time for me to once again redirect my life and wrestling career," end quote. So the tradition of wrestling training in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, having a little bit of a cutoff. It's not quite with the same fervor as when the Hart Family Dungeon, as it's known, had kind of ended its training, but it doesn't quite have that hallowed history, but it's certainly rather historical and has had a lot of great wrestlers who have gone on over the years to do some great things throughout the wrestling industry, not necessarily just WWE, but elsewhere as well. So it's kind of a bittersweet feeling, I would get a sense of here. Yeah, definitely hard to say how that will go here. So also coming up, we've got the predictions starting to go wrong for SummerSlam, and well, we've also got another pay-per-view of note here, courtesy of Mike Johnson of PWInsider.com. He reports that WWE will hold its next Saudi Arabia event on Thursday, October 31st. That's right, Halloween day for us, night for them, at the King Saud University Stadium in Riyadh. Now, the previous WWE events in Saudi Arabia were held on Fridays, but with the SmackDown television series moving to Fox on Fridays this October, a change was needed. Credit to Jason Powell of ProWrestling.net for this one. He had done a little bit of research and noted that Halloween in Saudi Arabia is not really a thing. He said that in his search, the first return that came back was a story about how Saudi teens risk arrests and fines to celebrate Halloween, which is banned by the country's leadership due to the holiday's, quote, roots in paganism and its association with evil spirits, end quote. So, safe to say there won't be any cute, campy, Halloween-themed backstage segments during the network special, which is tentatively rumored to be called Crown Jewel, just like it was last year. Now, it's kind of interesting to see. We did speculate a little while back that because the pay-per-view events were in Saudi Arabia, were on Fridays, and that Fox is giving WWE all this money to air SmackDown on Fridays, it kind of serving two different masters and which one would blink first, and it looks like in this case, apparently the TV deal with Fox takes a little bit more precedence over the 10-year deal with Saudi Arabia. And, hey, I mean, give credit to them for being able to make it work, because I didn't know how they were going to make it work. It is certainly hard to say. Now, speaking of SmackDown, I know that we've been talking about WWE's ratings for a while, and not usually in a positive light, but despite that, One person who doesn't appear to be concerned is Fox Sports Senior Vice President of Sales Mark Evans. He had told the BigLead.com, quote, "We feel how we're going to present and how we're going to promote the WWE is going to inject it with such a new life." Adding, quote, "It's going to be a home run for us." End quote. Well, they're definitely swinging for the fences, having Fox spend $1 billion to lure SmackDown to their network for the next 5 years. And, oh man, I can't help but think when I hear about injecting something with new life of this little clip from Vince McMahon back in 2002.
It's mine. I created it. I'm going to kill what I created. I'm going to kill it. I'm going to kill my creation. I'm going to inject what I created with a lethal dose of poison. If anybody's going to kill my creation, I'm going to do it.
Wow. When you kind of look back at that quote, it doesn't really stand the test of time. That was back in 2002 with the bringing in of the NWO into WWE, bringing back Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, and Hulk Hogan after their contracts, their guaranteed contracts with Time Warner had finally expired. So who knows? Will this be an injected lethal dose of poison, or will this be the shot in the arm WWE needs to gain a stronghold over any potential competition that they may have? Well, time will certainly tell on that, and we'll get into on the other side a little bit about that big competition, as they've got a couple of tidbits of information that are coming up here. It actually one of those, well, it has a little bit to do with a city that's getting a bit of a spotlight, not just for WWE and AEW as well. We'll get into the specifics of that on the other side. Plus, we've got that hilarious 24/7 championship moment. We've got some video game chatting to get into. Also, we've got the Mae Young Classic. Now, we haven't heard too much about it. Usually it happens around the summertime here, and well, there are plans for it to be coming for 2019, and we'll let you know about that. Plus a little Impact news as well, a little bit of the NWA. We're just kind of bouncing all over the place, and we'll get some more of that, plus room for your calls on the other side, 215-949-3232, or toll-free at 888-922-2149. This is Pro Wrestling Weekly here on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com.
Next time you head down the shore, make Keenan's Irish Pub your favorite spot. Located in the heart of North Wildwood, Keenan's Irish Pub is 25,000 square feet of wall-to-wall fun. There's live entertainment 7 days a week and an extensive menu that even features sushi. So grab a nice cold drink, listen to some live music, and enjoy a fantastic time at Keenan's Irish Pub. Keenan's is located at 113 Old New Jersey Avenue in North Wildwood, where all the neighborhoods still meet.
Hi, everyone. Al Roker here. As a guy with his own catchphrase, I appreciate that after 75 years, Smokey's only said,
Only you can prevent wildfires.
But I'm filling in because there's a lot more to report. Like when it's dry or windy. Be careful burning yard waste, because wildfires can even start in your neck of the woods. Go to SmokeyBear.com to learn more about wildfire prevention. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
All commentators heard on WBCB express their own views. Their opinions are not necessarily those of others on WBCB, including the staff and management.
WBCB is starting its first ever Summer of Fun. Make sure the summer is a splash by tuning in to WBCB 1490 for your chance to win some free summer swag. Listen in Fridays between 2 and 3 p.m. to win cool gear and tickets for super fun activities in Bucks County. That's each Friday from 2 to 3 p.m. for the Summer of Fun giveaway hour for free summer swag right here on WBCB.
You won't see termites crawling across your floor, but thousands might be devouring the wood in your walls, weakening the structure of your home. For over 50 years, termite proofing and pest control of the Delaware Valley has been in the exterminating business. If you think you have a pest problem, they're the experts. Call them today at 215-639-5455. That's 215-639-5455 for TPPC. Termite proofing and pest control of the Delaware Valley gives your home or business peace of mind, knowing your pest problem is in their hands. Located at 1560 Bristol Pike in Bensalem, they use only EPA-approved material applied by licensed technicians. Call Termite Proofing and Pest Control of the Delaware Valley at 215-639-5455.
Let's talk about America. Not taxes or tweets or the issues that divide us, but how incredible our country is. Whether you come home to a crowded city street or sleepy small town, everyone deserves to live in a clean, green, and thriving community. We are Keep America Beautiful, the nonprofit working with millions of people like you to end littering, improve recycling, and beautify communities. Learn more at kab.org. Together, we can do beautiful things.
What script? We got rid of it, remember?
Yeah, oh yeah, you crumbled it up. Wait, no, it's in the waste bucket. I don't know why I just called it a waste bucket. I've been watching too much British television.
And now, more Pro Wrestling Weekly with your hosts, Fearon Derry and Lucas DeSangro.
No, sorry, that's the rubbish bin. It's in the...
Where most of your jokes go.
Yes! Yes! Oh!
Welcome back to Pro Wrestling Weekly here on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com. Fearon Derry here with you, flying solo as Twitch is down in Tennessee with Capital Wrestling, and Mitch has some occupational obligations, but it's not stopping the news from coming, and we got a good amount of it here for you. So, we did mention that All Elite Wrestling, they're involving themselves a little bit here, and so is WWE, and I think we need a little bit of appropriate background for this one here. Yeah, I know. You're probably wondering, where is he going with this? Well, the reason why, it seems like the focus, at least for professional wrestling, is on the city of Boston. There you go, a little Dave Loggins for you here. Things you wouldn't expect on Pro Wrestling Weekly. No, in this case, two reasons. One, well, WWE earlier this week had announced that the city of Boston will host SummerSlam week in August of 2020, with SummerSlam as well as SmackDown Live, Monday Night Raw, and NXT all taking place at the TD Garden over 4 consecutive nights. Now, those dates were about 54 weeks away, it looks like here, or 53 or 54, as you'll have on Friday, August 21st, next year, SmackDown Live. Also on Saturday, August 22nd, it'll be NXT TakeOver. Sunday, August 23rd of 2020 will be SummerSlam, and Monday, August 24th of 2020 will be Monday Night Raw, all 4 events taking place at the TD Garden. Now, as if that wasn't enough, as if Boston wasn't getting enough of the spotlight, they're getting a little bit of love from AEW as well, as they announced this week that they will hold their second TNT television event on October 9th. Yep, in Boston, Massachusetts, but at the Agganis Arena. And then the week after that, the third event, well, that'll be held on October 16th in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Yes, at the Liacouras Center, home of good old Temple University there. The first AEW on TNT event will be held on October 2nd in Washington, D.C. at the Capital One Arena. And, well, those tickets have already sold out, I believe. But tickets for both of the upcoming shows, the Boston show and the Philadelphia show, they go on sale this Friday at 12 noon. So your chance to see AEW live up in person in close quarters, that's certainly the way to go. Now, the Agganis Arena in Boston, its listed capacity is 7,200. Meanwhile, the Liacouras Center can hold up to 10,200. And to give you an idea, these are arenas that have some familiarity to wrestling, mainly from Impact or TNA Impact a little while back, as back in 2013, Impact held the Slammiversary pay-per-view at that Agganis Arena, and something that's definitely some familiarity here. The Liacouras Center had hosted Bound for Glory back in 2011. Now, it's not a bad idea. I mean, obviously, for the debut, it's a much bigger thing, so they're going with a huge NBA, NHL-type arena. But who knows if they're going to sustain that success week to week, so they're kind of sticking a little bit smaller, creating the demand, and running those mid-size venues until they're able to prove that they can run those bigger arenas on a weekly basis. So keep it small, keep it intimate, build the demand, have the packed house, and as the demand grows, then you can go to those bigger venues and really start to take storm from there. So it's a rather wise idea, to say the least. All right, that's enough of logins there. We just had to have a little fun there with the mentioning of Boston in this case here. Now, one thing that I'm curious about with the weekends that are going on here and with the move of SmackDown to Fridays, this is going to be a little strange, and this is more for those in the Tampa area or those going to the Tampa area. What's going to happen with WrestleMania? Because now you've got SmackDown on Fridays. Theoretically, you have NXT TakeOver on Saturday. You'd have WrestleMania on Sunday and Raw on Monday. Where do you put the Hall of Fame ceremony in there? Do you move it to Thursday? Do you put it Saturday during the day? Probably not. There's a lot of questions. You know, how do you fit 5 nights worth of stuff into 4 nights, as you're used to that Tuesday cushion of having SmackDown previously, but now with it moving to Friday where you had the Hall of Fame? I don't know. I'm kind of curious. How do you shoehorn that in necessarily? I mean, you wouldn't do it the same day as one of the other events, so I guess you either move it back. I guess you'd have to move it back to Thursday unless WWE comes up with something a little bit more creative. I don't know. These are some of the things that keep me thinking, I suppose, for lack of a better term, or at least keep me up at night, as Nick Cataldi used to say here on the program. Oh man! Now, with the groundswell of interest of AEW, this is something that I read a little bit about yesterday and saw some things and thought about some things. It looks like WWE may be going back to their old ways based on AEW, and that being what some would argue as bullying, not star, but bullying tactics. Yeah, get it? Don't be a bully, be a star, the anti-bullying campaign WWE uses. Oh, the irony. But yes, some of the bullying tactics that put them on top back in the 80s and 90s and has left them without a major competitor for almost the last 2 decades. And this all comes based off of reports from this past week from the Wrestling Observer newsletter that NXT is tentatively set to go from a 1-hour pre-tape program that you see on the WWE Network to, get this, a 2-hour live program set to air on Fox's FS1 channel on Wednesday nights from 8 to 10 p.m. As if there isn't some other program that's starting in October that's Wednesday nights from 8 to 10 p.m. Now, as much as people are probably crying afoul of it, if you're WWE, well, if you're an AEW fan, you may not necessarily like this, but for WWE, this is a win-win scenario. It's kind of like the fighting an old man scenario. If he beats you, you look bad, but if you beat him, whoop-de-doo, you kicked an old man's butt. It's a no-win situation in that regard. So looking at it from the television programming perspective, if NXT loses this ratings war, WWE can say, it's the developmental show. It's on a weaker network. It's not exactly our best product that's being put out there. And if NXT wins that ratings war, then AEW lost to the developmental show on a weaker network, and that makes AEW look minor league. So it's not exactly the most ideal scenario. Now, as if that wasn't enough, now this is just a rumor, and I don't usually like throwing rumors out there, but this was part of it, as at least one site was reporting it. But apparently, allegedly, WWE is looking into buying the streaming platform Fight TV, even though Fight has denied any ongoing talks. Now, because Fight TV is AEW's streaming provider internationally, and they're also heavily involved with the StarCast coming up just 3 weeks from now, heading into the All Out pay-per-view, it looks like it's another example of McMahon looking to buy out his competition, kind of like he did back in the 1980s with the territories, and would go and handpick the best talent from each territory and kind of leave those territories bone dry and going out of business. Will we see more of the same here? It is hard to say. Definitely hard to say. Well, also one other bit of AEW news. The Young Bucks, they had announced that for that October 9th show that's in Boston, that thank you, Ted. That none other than the Young Bucks, they'll be in action on that TNT show, and it'll be against Private Party to open an AEW's tag team tournament. That certainly should be interesting, to say the least. So we'll delve more into that in a little bit here. I guess what else are you looking to see with AEW? And I guess that's something we can kind of get into more as it gets closer to that October 2nd date. Is what exactly are you looking to see? But before we do so, let's go ahead and take a look at the local scene, courtesy of Ed from Northeast Philly, who's joining us on the phone here. Ed, welcome to Pro Wrestling Weekly.
Good afternoon. Sorry about the noise. If you can hear it over the phone.
Nope. You're coming in loud. You're coming in loud and clear. You're good to go, Ed.
All right. Somebody just phoned something with loud stereo. What are saying about to go on air?
Well, if they're blaring music that has bad words, we'll just hit the dump button and go from there.
All right. Anyway, Renee Michelle is now taking bookings and appearing for independent scene. Drake Maverick's wife, that is.
Yes, she did. She did put out a tweet. Actually, it was a couple of days ago, noting currently taking independent bookings and appearances. For inquiries, to contact Renee Michelle NWL@gmail.com.
Who knows? Drake might show up too on some bookings.
Well,
with her.
I mean, as much of a challenge as it's been for him to officially celebrate the marriage, that I think I can say the other thing, but again, better to play safe than sorry. I'll check with Ted during the break, so that way I know for the future. It's one of those, if you're not sure, don't say it. So that's gotta walk that fine tightrope. But
I have to keep you out of trouble.
Trust me, I can get myself into plenty of trouble in numerous ways.
With or without Lucas.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not saying that.
I've done okay for the last. I've done okay for the last decade plus here. I'd like to think I know where the line is, and I know not to cross it. And if I do, a kind and occasionally not so kind word will be thrown my way if I do. But that notwithstanding, yes, I guess Renee Michelle, while awaiting that celebration of the marriage with the 24/7 title, she's gonna go ahead and take some independent bookings, bring a little extra into the family income.
And I was wondering why or how they were going to get that belt off of Maria. But they actually did.
Yeah, I kind of teased it a little bit earlier. I'll bring that out here for those who missed it. So, as we last saw the saga of the 24/7 championship, Mike Kanellis had won it, and his wife Maria had, in the continuing emasculation of him, basically ordered him to lay down so she could pin him to be the first pregnant 24/7 champion. And hopefully the only. I don't think we need to go back to that necessarily. So that left people kind of contemplating and thinking, "Oh man, how is she going to lose this? Is she and the baby's health going to be put in jeopardy? How exactly is this going to work?" And then this past Monday happened. So Kanellis was laying down on the examination table at an OB/GYN office. and she was with her husband Mike, and Mike had brought in a referee disguised as a nurse and went to give her a hug and just kept her shoulders pinned down onto the examination table for a 3 count, and Mike Kanellis was able to win back the 24/7 title from his wife. The storyline and saga that is the 24/7 championship almost puts the sitcom or soap opera spoof Soap to shame from back in the late 70s, early 80s. It brings in realms of strange, bizarre, unbelievable, and quite a few other adjectives that I can't even think of, let alone say on the air.
SummerSlam weekend is upon us.
Yes, it is. Okay, I asked this earlier in the show, Ed. Does it feel a little weird that it's this early in the month, or is it just me on this?
Yeah, I thought they would have it like towards the middle or ending of August.
And in most cases, yes, that is in fact the case, and it has been for quite a long while. I mean, I can pull up the chronology of SummerSlam here, and I'm pretty sure that, over the years, most of the time, it's in the in the later part of August. And as I'm looking through here, just historically going back, 30 years, I see August 29th, 28th, 27th, 26th, 29th, 30th. It was always that last week up until 90 through 95, and then 96, August 18th. 97, we mentioned earlier, August 3rd. That's kind of one of these things is not like the other. But then in 98, back to August 30th, 22nd, 27th, 19th, 25th, 24th. 2004, it was the 15th. 21st, 20th, 26th, 17th, 23rd. And then in recent years, it's been kind of in the middle, as you said, the 15th, 14th, 19th, 18th, 17th. So they've kind of gotten away from that last Sunday in August. They really haven't done that since 2007, from what I can see here.
Yeah, and I remember it being on a Monday when it first started.
Well, yeah. Yeah, that's...
years ago.
Yeah, that was back when the World Wrestling Federation at the time could be a little bit more experimental with their pay-per-views and whatnot. I mean, yes, the very first one was on a Monday night, August 29th of 1988. The following year, yeah, I mean they kept it in that. It was usually the last. For a while, it was the last Monday in August for at least the first few years. I'm going through, just kind of bringing up the calendar here. Yeah, it was that way for the first 4 from 88 to 91. In 92, you had it, on 92 was a little bit different. You had it on a Saturday, but it also was in Wembley Stadium, but I think it aired here in the States, if I recall, on the 31st. It was on a tape delay. Yeah, it didn't air on pay-per-view until Monday, the 31st of August. So it kept that last Monday in the month of August trend going in the early part of it. There was a little bit of a little bit of an added twist because there wasn't an internet back then, so they couldn't really they didn't really have spoilers to give away. But I'm trying to think, when was the last time when did they kind of cut away with the whole Monday thing? It was probably, I want to say, 95, because that was when they just started going to an all-Sunday format. Yeah. So, I mean, you're looking at the first 8 SummerSlams, or I believe, 3 or 5, 6, 7. Yeah, the first 7 SummerSlams were all on the last Monday in August. And then starting in 95 is when they went to an all-Sunday pay-per-view format.
Yeah.
It just I don't know. It maybe it's because I'm still hearkening back to that time period, as that it harkens back to my youth when I was a tween turning teenager, and it just, I guess, felt different. But I don't know. That I always looked at SummerSlam as kind of the last hurrah, and crap, school starts in a week, that sort of thing.
Yeah. Getting back to the indie scene.
Yes, yeah. Back a look at the local scene here. Now that I just completely went off on a tangent based off of it being SummerSlam weekend.
That's my fault. Anyway, WXW in Voorhees tonight with an 8 p.m. bell time at the Colossal Sports Center in Voorhees. Super Crazies in Northeast Philadelphia at the Homesburg Boys Club on Dittman Street with a 6 p.m. bell time.
Oh, geez. It's all just going on here today.
And I mentioned this 2 weeks ago about Reading, ACW at Club Reverb, Blackout, The Sandman, Chad, Austin, and Gilbert with a 6:30 p.m. bell time.
Okay, that's the Atomic Championship Wrestling.
Atomic.
No, that's all right. Just there are so many acronyms in wrestling that sometimes you have to. I find it's good to spell it out just so that way people don't get their letters confused here. But yeah, that'll be in Reading, Pennsylvania later tonight. The doors open at 6:30 bell time on that, and that's on Reading Road in Ephrata, Pennsylvania. At least that's where the ticket outlet is, from what I see here.
H2O Center is having a pay-per-view party for SummerSlam, and I Play America as well at the Game Time Bar and Grill.
Yeah, there are a lot of different wrestling parties for SummerSlam, and actually one that I had kind of stumbled upon and might actually make my way over to that tomorrow evening here, because it combines two things that I like: adult beverages and wrestling. But they're going to have a SummerSlam watch party tomorrow at Neshaminy Creek Brewery over in Croydon.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
Oh, I took the words out of your mouth there. Okay.
As well as all Chicken Pete's locations in the Philadelphia, Jersey area.
So yeah, if you want to go on out and enjoy a little bit, that's certainly a good time to check out there. And I'm wouldn't mind having a couple of beverages, to say the least, at the at the Neshaminy Creek Brewery. It's
don't drink too much.
Oh no, of course not. I always drink responsibly. I have to get talking to them too. I know that coming up in the fall, I think they're going to try to do another Hops and Headlocks event. So I'd like to try to get a few things involved with that. I'm going to have to give a call over to their social media manager, Nick. I haven't seen him since the last event, but it should be a good time regardless of where you're going to watch SummerSlam.
And that's about it.
Alrighty, Ed. Well, I appreciate the look at
I think I went over time.
You're fine. It's if there were any major issue, I'd be hearing about it in a little bit here. But
sorry, Ted.
We're as long as I don't go over. As long as Nutsy isn't late, that's the important thing. As long as 1 o'clock occurs and all is well, and then we can go into the country roads. That's the if something goes there and Nutsy's late, then I'm in some kind of trouble. So. So we're okay there. No worries. But thank you so much for chiming in, and we'll catch you later with the next week with the look at the local scene. And good talking to you as always. Certainly a good time here. So yes, going back to the thing. So yes, as if all of that with Maria Kanellis and Mike Kanellis wasn't enough, R-Truth happened to pin Mike Kanellis in the waiting room of the OBGYN while disguised as a pregnant woman. So, as of right now, pending any changes that may be going on up in Toronto, because it's SummerSlam weekend and there's a lot going on there north of the border, R-Truth is now your 11-time WWE 24/7 champion. It's hilarious in almost a facepalm cringeworthy kind of way. Oh, well. And I'm getting a, let's see, okay, here. All right, so, yeah, just getting word. All right, once Mitch is done at work, he'll send over to me the picks certain to go wrong, so we'll compare and contrast next week, and hopefully we'll have all three of them in here, but we'll we'll see. Time will certainly tell on that here. All right, we're going to take care of our last bit of business. We're going to come back into some NWA news. We still have that video game chat to get into, a little more on the Mae Young Classic, and a little Impact Wrestling news as well. Plus all the usual fun stuff of today in wrestling history and everything else here on Pro Wrestling Weekly on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com.
Hi, this is Dr. Lee Piccarello, inviting you to tune in every Friday morning at 8 a.m. to The Head Game, a must-listen show for athletes and coaches of all levels and ages. Mindful Athlete Training in Newtown, Pennsylvania is a mental circuit training program that prepares the athletes to perform at the highest level of today's game. Athletes get into the zone faster and stay there longer. Tune in every Friday morning at 8 a.m. right here on WBCB 1490 AM and throughout the world at WBCB1490.com.
The Bristol Borough Community Action Group Food Bank at 99 Wood Street in Bristol has been serving Lower Bucks County since 1971. It's your monthly tax-deductible donations that allow us to provide food for hundreds of households each month. Please consider a generous one-time or recurring monthly donation at www.givebucks.org. That's www.givebucks.org. Help us help those in need. Please donate today. The Bristol Borough Community Action Group, 99 Wood Street, Bristol, PA 19007.
The Baseball Insider Show presented by SEPTA this Sunday prior to Phillies baseball right here on 1490 WBCB and video stream live on Facebook and at WBCBsports.com.
Join Rebecca's forecast Tuesday at 10 a.m. She'll take your calls, questions, and fill you in on what's happening for your personal sun sign. Join Rebecca's forecast once again every Tuesday at 10 a.m. right here on 1490 WBCB.
Looking for examples of education excellence? Go to where the success begins. Public schools across Pennsylvania. This is the place where the stories begin. In the classrooms and hallways, labs and libraries, in stadiums and on stages. The power of today's public education is behind the camera or in front, at the soundboard or the whiteboard. Singing, solving, building, creating. Join the success story. The public schools of Pennsylvania. Success starts here.
Go to successstartshere.org, sponsored by the PA School Boards Association.
Pro Wrestling Weekly presents Today in Wrestling History, August 10th. On this date in 1996, WCW held its Hog Wild pay-per-view. In the main event, Hollywood Hogan pinned the Giant to win the WCW World Heavyweight Championship. On this date in 1998, WCW Monday Nitro aired live from Rapid City, South Dakota. In the main event, Goldberg defeated Meng. On this day in 2008, TNA held its Hard Justice pay-per-view. In the main event, Samoa Joe defeated Booker T in a 6 sides of steel weapons match to retain the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. On this day in 2009, WWE Monday Night Raw aired live from Calgary, Alberta, Canada. In the main event, John Cena fought Chris Jericho to a no contest. This has been Today in Wrestling History, August 10th.
Welcome back to Pro Wrestling Weekly here on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com. Fearon Derry here with you, flying solo as, well, Twitch is down in Tennessee. Not exactly going to Boston, but he's in Tennessee for Capital Wrestling, and Mitch has his occupational obligations. But that notwithstanding, we've got a little bit still to get into here, including, we'll get into the news, and then we'll get into the predictions. Actually, one thing that kind of jumped out at me there at the with the Today in Wrestling, Hog Wild, or at least the one time that it was called that before it got changed to Road Wild. It was rather noted for a couple of reasons. One, that was the first pay-per-view for WCW since the NWO had formed, and that also had, with Hogan beating the Giant, that was also where the NWO was spray painted on the title belt after the match. So that was certainly interesting to say the least. And because that was on a Saturday, you had WCW Saturday Night kind of starting things off. So you had 8 matches as kind of essentially a pre-show before you had another 8 matches on the actual pay-per-view card. And some people point to that as something that definitely cost WCW in a way, in that, well, there wasn't really any. Well, you talk about any profits from the house. It was a free event. People rolling up on their motorcycles, their Harleys and whatnot, their hogs, as it were. But then the following year, I guess the makers of Harley Davidson took issue with the hog nickname in terms of copywriting and things of that nature. So then it became Road Wild for the remaining 3 years that it was in existence. Just little things from the past like that. Certainly find fascinating. But yes, on to the other bits of news here. So the NWA released a new video featuring owner Billy Corgan announcing the launch of a new studio series. Corgan announcing that the series will begin filming in Atlanta, Georgia, and the dates listed were September 30th and October 1st. And he said that the series will be unscripted, uncensored, and really in your face in a way that no wrestling promotion has been in your face in a very long time. So there seems to be a little bit of the pendulum swinging back toward the edgy in a few different ways here. Also, kind of jumping around, Impact Wrestling, they issued a press release regarding sales for its upcoming Bound for Glory event. Ticket sales for the annual pay-per-view extravaganza Bound for Glory, which will be held Sunday, October 20th at the Odeum Expo Center just outside of Chicago, Illinois. And that'll also air live exclusively on pay-per-view. So the details, those are coming, and for those in the Chicago area, well, chance to be able to. That's another kind of epicenter, is Chicago getting all the focus with All Out in a few weeks, and then they also get Bound for Glory as well. Dan must be in his element right now. Also, WrestlingInc.com reporting that WWE plans to announce details on the 2019 Mae Young Classic soon. Triple H confirming during this week's media call that they've been working to finalize some plans and will be making announcements soon, saying that they're in the process of finalizing some stuff and they'll hopefully have announcements soon on all of that. He indicated that the plans were pushed back due to many happenings this year, including the move of SmackDown from the USA Network to Fox in October. And for this would be the 3rd annual Mae Young Classic, as Kairi Sane won the inaugural one in 2017, and last year's tournament was won by current NXT UK Women's Champion Toni Storm. And a little bit of video game chatter in here. Now, this involves the latest video game, which the cover was released this past week. Roman Reigns and Becky Lynch share the cover of WWE 2K20 that's being developed by Visual Concepts and published by 2K Sports. And it's scheduled for release worldwide on October 22nd for Microsoft Windows, PlayStation 4, and Xbox One. Sorry, Switch fans. And Nintendo always kind of gets the shaft on that. So far, it's the 21st game in the WWE game series and 7th under the 2K banner, and it's the first not to be developed by Ukes. This is interesting. Notable additions include the My Career mode, where for the first time players can play as both men and women for the career mode. And their whole roster hasn't been released yet, but it's coming bit by bit. So far, a few names announced: Becky Lynch, Roman Reigns, legends such as Chyna, Hulk Hogan, Mankind, The Rock, Papa Shango, Stone Cold Steve Austin, and then the rest of the roster so far, you have The Miz, you have Charlotte, Brock Lesnar, Bayley, Sasha Banks, Braun Strowman, Nia Jax, Asuka, and Angelo Dawkins and Montez Ford of the Street Profits. Interesting. Plenty more will be introduced in the upcoming weeks leading up to that release in a little over 2 months. Well, let's get to the predictions certain to go wrong. Now, Twitch has submitted his. Mitch still has to, so we'll give you just the pair each here of the 10 matches set up for the SummerSlam card. Yeah, I guess we can go ahead and get a little bit of music going for this here, because, yeah, it's always that time. Always gets the juices flowing, that classic SummerSlam theme from back in the day. So, first off, we've got Finn Balor against Bray Wyatt. And what's being billed as the Demon against the Fiend. I think there's been so much build-up for Wyatt, they can't have him lose his first, his debut return match, right? Can they? Well, I'm going with Bray Wyatt, so too is Twitch. And over to the United States Championship, AJ Styles against Ricochet. Both Twitch and I think that AJ Styles will retain. Now, a little bit of a switcheroo thanks to messing with a legend, and since Shawn can't get paid another $2+ million to come back for another match, it's going to be Dolph Ziggler against Goldberg. And then The Miz will take on Dolph Ziggler Monday on Raw. Well, I think Goldberg has something to prove in terms of redemption from the Saudi shoehorn. So I'm going with Goldberg, so too is Twitch. We don't agree on all of them, but it's coming. Kevin Owens against Shane McMahon, the best in the world. If Owens loses, he will quit WWE. We'll get the... There we go. We'll get the 90 to 94 theme going as well. So Kevin Owens against Shane McMahon. If Owens loses, he will quit WWE. Well, it pretty much sets up that Owens has to stick around, so I'm going with Owens on the victory, so too is Twitch. Now where things differ a little bit here. Maybe I'm crazy on this one, but Becky Lynch against Natalya for the Raw Women's Championship. You know what? I've been going back and forth on it. Twitch is going with Becky Lynch. I was initially going to go with Natalya, but I forget. It's a heart, and they're wrestling in Canada. There's probably going to be some sort of a screw job, even though it's not Montreal. I'm sticking with Becky on this one. All right, so we're agreeing on most here. Drew Gulak against Oni Lorcan for the Cruiserweight Championship. I've got Drew Gulak, and so too does Twitch. Getting a little hurried here. Time running out. Brock Lesnar against Seth Rollins for the Universal Championship. This is where we differ. I'm going with Lesnar to retain, and Lucas is going with Rollins. Interesting. Trish Stratus against Charlotte Flair. Well, a Canadian wrestling in Canada against a current star. Well, I'm going to go with Charlotte, and so too is Twitch. And the last two we agree on as well. Bayley defending the SmackDown Women's title against Ember Moon. I don't know what it is. Ember Moon just can't seem to catch a break, and I don't think she's going to here. Neither does Twitch. Bayley retains. And Kofi Kingston against Randy Orton for the WWE Championship. It is definitely anything but stupid, as Randy so eloquently yelled during a match against Kofi Kingston a decade ago. I think Kofi Kingston retains here and gets the victory over, well, they're both veterans, but a little bit more so for Orton. And I think Kofi Mania keeps running wild here. So there's our picks. We've got about 3 minutes left here, which means it's just about enough time for...
Birthday!
Love how Ted just picking up the slack for the other two slackers. All right, we've got 3 plus 2 Brucey bonuses. Not a lot of celebrities, at least of major note, with birthdays today. All right, firstly, on this date in 1956, Fred Alex Ottman was born. The former WWF Tag Team Champion, known both in the WWF at the time as Tugboat and Typhoon of the Natural Disasters, and, well, more infamously known from WCW as the Shockmaster. He turned 63 today. It was when he jumped over to WCW in 93, they had this whole build-up for him, and he was supposed to burst through this wall, and they had him wearing what looked like a very glittery, bedazzled Star Wars, like Darth Vader type helmet. So it was like a silver bedazzled type thing, but as the door had burst open, apparently there was a wooden beam, maybe about, I don't know, a foot off the ground or like 6 inches off the ground, and he tripped over it as he made his way in, and the helmet fell off of his face, and it destroyed all credibility of the bit, and they ended up just scrapping it after that debut. That is the moment of infamy, unfortunately, for Fred Ottman, even though he had a good run as Tugboat and Typhoon, too, but nonetheless, he turned 63 today. On this date in 1976, Michael DiPoli was born. The former ECW Tag Team Champion known as Amish Roadkill turns 43 today. And on this date in 1980, Stuart Alexander Bennett was born. Yeah, that name kind of sounds familiar. The former 5-time WWE Intercontinental Champion, as well as the 2015 King of the Ring, known both as Wade Barrett and Bad News Barrett. You remember him. Yeah, a little bit of bad news from him. The bad news is, in this case, he's turning 39 today. It's just a year older than me. And to the Brucey bonuses, things outside of the world of wrestling. On this date in 1960, Jose Antonio Dominguez Bandera was born. The Spanish actor, producer, and singer known for films Evita, Interview with the Vampire, and bringing the voice to the Shrek series as Puss in Boots, known professionally as Antonio Banderas. He turns 59 today. And on this date in 1997, we're really scraping on this one, Kylie Kristen Jenner was born. The media personality, model, and socialite known from the TV series Keeping Up with the Kardashians and her Kylie Cosmetics line, and daughter of, formerly known as Bruce Jenner, turns 22 today, and time for Nutsy.
1 o'clock and all's well.
Serving you better.